If you're looking for the short answer, I'll tell you in. But first, I started this channel to document my journey as a card counter. However, my blackjack brethren, Stephen Bridges, said that I shouldn't show my face so I could actually play blackjack longer than 3 videos coming out. So you can just call me Duma.
I am hit.
The answer really depends, and I know that's not what you want to hear, but I say if you're the average person practicing the average amount, your timeline or your progress as a card counter should look something like this. It takes about 3 months to master the basics. It takes about another 3 months to be able to play basic strategy, count cards, and convert to true count all simultaneously. Another 2 to 4 months to become comfortable using your skills in a casino. Some people are naturally comfortable in a casino. Some people have never been in a casino and they think it's weird and they think it's stressful and they think everybody's staring at them, when in reality most people there are degenerates and nobody gives a fuck about you. They're just trying to get their money. And the last thing from my experience learning from other counters, it takes about 2 to 3 months is for this to become second nature. And when I say second nature, is like you go in and you're counting, you're not really counting. Your brain is just doing the work, right? You're just in it. It's like, I used to play soccer, so you know, it's second nature for me to move off the ball. It's second nature for me to pass with the inside of my foot. It's second nature for me to see a defender in front of me and then instantly already start to do a move, right? I'm not thinking about what moves I'm doing. I'm doing the moves because I've done it so many times. My body just has the muscle memory of just doing it. Now, this is not an exact timeline, and if it doesn't work for you, don't be mad because you probably didn't work hard enough. And I can only go off my experience, and I was more similar to the average person. So I started out, you know, I was ready. I was about to do this. I started in January, February. I can't really remember the exact date. I downloaded this Blackjack app. I think it's called, where's my phone? Blackjack 101. Honestly, I would recommend it. You can just get this app. It'll teach you how to play perfect basic strategy, and you will have basically a break-even play when you're playing against the casino. So I downloaded that app and I played it for about an hour or two a day for a week, and I knew basic strategy at that point and I could recite it, but I would still make mistakes when playing, especially 7 and 5. I would always confuse that with 8 and 5. So I would think 7 and 5 is 13 and 8 and 5 is 12, and math. Then at that point, I started to learn how to actually, quote unquote, count the cards. And if you don't know how to count the cards, it's very simple. Cards 2 through 6, you're gonna add 1 to the running count. Cards 7, 8, and 9, you're not gonna add anything to the running count. You just add a 0. So 10s, all face cards, and aces, you're gonna subtract 1 from the running count. So if the running count is 0 and you see a 3, the running count is now 1. If the running count is 1 and you now see a 7, the running count is still 1. And if the running count is 1 and you see a jack, the running count is now, if you didn't say 0, you got to work on some stuff, man. Because that's a shame. I just laid it out right in front of you and you couldn't figure it out. Then after a month, I did what any average person when trying to learn something new does. I slacked off. I wasn't training every day the way I was supposed to. You know, I was playing video games. Overwatch was probably pretty lit for me right then. I forget what I was playing back then. But, you know, my training was sporadic and I wasn't training the way that I should have been if I wanted to do this in a shorter amount of time, like most people say they do. Even with me starting to slack off, I average a couple hours a week, you know, just through counting down decks, playing the app, and, you know, just watching videos, stuff like that. Then about a month later, I signed up for BJA, which if you're watching this video, you probably know who this guy is. He runs a service called Blackjack Apprenticeship. Basically, they got all this stuff. They got videos, they got these training games, they got the charts, they got everything to teach you. It's all the good shit. They got all the good shit. And about after 3 months on that good shit, you know, I felt like I was ready. I felt like I was ready to hit the ground running. So I started at my local casino. I started back counting, and that's when you go to the blackjack table. You don't sit down, you sit back and you watch. I would just watch and count the cards. And then once the count got high enough, I would jump in and play. And then once the count dropped back down, I leave, go to another table, or just wait for them to shuffle and do it again, right? I was doing that just so I could learn how it works, see if I could keep the count, see if I could play basic strategy, blah, 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 right? So all of that evolved over 2 months. I went from back counting and wonging in at lower true counts, to going on a trip to Vegas, to meeting other counters, to realizing there's flaws in my game, to fixing those flaws in my game, all the way to right now making a video about how I made it this far. Now, I am not a professional counter yet, but I would call myself a part-time counter at this point. Right? I try to keep my expectations level when I hopped into this, and even me throughout it, I was like, okay, I'm getting better. And then as soon as I had the opportunity, I felt like I could kind of do it. I took that as I can do it. No, motherfucker, you cannot. You don't know what you're doing yet. And I'm gonna be straight up. This is real money, right? When you go to the casino, you don't want to go there and sit there and waste your hard-earned money. That's one thing I learned the hard way, is that they're not going to get that back if you lose. They don't care. And if you want to hear more about how much money I've won, how much money I've lost, you can find out
next time on Dragon Ball Z. Gohan's muscles erupt with his newly bridled power.